A gunfight in Kishtwar, India, resulted in the deaths of 2 soldiers as security forces engaged terrorists. G20 leaders agreed to create a framework to tackle disinformation and establish guidelines for the use of artificial intelligence.
It is actually also under discussion because there are 2 parts of artificial intelligence. One is what goes into artificial intelligence. At the end of the day, it is about data. In fact, each one of us, we are today, 800 people sitting in this room. How much data are we emitting even when we are sitting here? We today have to, worry about, and not just worry, because it can be an opportunity if we do it well. Who captures the data? Who processes the data? Who uses the data to build capabilities? This is today a very big part of the competition among countries. So when we tell people saying, look, clean apps karo, be careful what you download. If sometimes government even blocks apps for that purpose. We want the younger generation to be aware data is a resource. That if somebody else, you will not give away your gold to a foreigner without knowing it. Think of data like that. That if we actually process our own data, capture our own data, build those capabilities. But there is a different debate in the G20, which is how do we actually have a stable, you can kind of say, a responsible artificial intelligence regime or understanding. It's a very complicated debate. So it's very good that you raised the point. I think issues like AI or crypto will be discussed in the G20. But definitely I would say next 25 years जब हम विकसित भारत की बात करते हैं, next 25 years is also 100% an era of AI, and that is also something that young Indians should be preparing for.
A red alert was issued for West Bengal and Odisha due to expected heavy rains, with flash flood warnings in effect. Trump hinted that he may reconsider participating in another debate with Kamala Harris depending on his mood. As astronaut Sunita Williams confirmed she plans to vote in the U.S. presidential election while aboard the Starliner.
Same here. You know, it's a very important duty that we have as citizens, and looking forward to being able to vote from space, which is pretty cool. You asked what we miss, right? Of course, you know, the things that we always miss, our families. I miss my 2 dogs. I miss my friends. But you know what? Like Butch said, there are so many people on Earth that are sending us messages, and it makes you feel just right at home with everybody when we're able to have those conversations with our friends and family at home. So I know they understand. I know it's tough on them as well as, you know, being away from home, of course, but everybody understands, and everybody's cheering for us to get back with Crew 9.
U.S. President Joe Biden dismissed recent threats from Russian President Vladimir Putin regarding the war in Ukraine.
Very, very important that we support Ukraine in this vital war of freedom. And so I look forward to discussing that with you. The Middle East, of course, again, vital over the coming weeks and months and elsewhere in the world. I think that historically we've shown the strength of our relationship, that we are strategically aligned. We have common cause on these global issues, and therefore it's very important for us to have this opportunity to talk them through, not just as a matter of tactics, but also the wider strategy that underpins them. So thank you for the invitation. It's very good to be here again.
Good to have you back.
What do you say to Vladimir Putin's threat of war, Mr. President?
I don't think much about Vladimir Putin.
Do you take that threat seriously?
Immigration remains a heated topic between Donald Trump and Kamala Harris, particularly concerning large-scale deportations.
I think you've heard tonight 2 very different visions for our country. One that is focused on the future, and the other that is focused on the past, and an attempt to take us backward. But we're not going back. And I do believe that the American people know we all have so much more in common than what separates us, and we can chart a new way forward.
So she just started by saying she's going to do this, she's going to do that, she's going to do all these wonderful things. Why hasn't she done it? She's been there for 3.5 years. They've had 3.5 years to fix the border. They've had 3.5 years to create jobs and all the things we talked about. Why hasn't she done it?
The singer pled guilty to a DUI charge in New York and was fined $500.
Pop star and actor Justin Timberlake has pleaded guilty to 1 count of driving while impaired. The 43-year-old appearing in a New York courtroom was arrested back in June. Timberlake was given a fine and sentenced to 25 hours of community service at a nonprofit of his choosing. The singer is scheduled to perform 2 back-to-back shows in Toronto next month.
Many of you have probably been covering me for a lot of my life. And as you may know, I try to hold myself to a very high standard for myself. And this was not that. This was not that. I found myself in a position where I could have made a different decision. But I've had some time to reflect on that. And I also understand by, the fact that all of you are here, that I have a platform, you have a platform, we share that platform. And so what I'd like to say to everyone watching and listening, even if you've had 1 drink, don't get behind the wheel of a car. There's so many alternatives. Call a friend. Take an Uber. There's many travel apps. Still, take a taxi. This is a mistake that I made, but I'm hoping that whoever's watching and listening right now can learn from this mistake. I know that I certainly have. And like I said, even one drink. Don't get behind the wheel of a car. I also said this in the courtroom before, but I grew up in a small town, so I can appreciate and understand the strain or unique nature that this must have been on the people of Sag Harbor. But I just want to say to everyone who's been involved, from everyone in the courtroom to everyone outside, including the police department, that I'm very grateful, and I thank them. And I guess in closing, I'd like to say we can all be more safe out there. And I'm going to do my part. I hope that everyone else does their part. And thank you very much.
My client was not driving while intoxicated. After much discussion and a thorough review of the evidence, today the District Attorney's Office correctly agreed to not move forward with that very charge. You see, the evidence revealed that my client finished the contents of one drink in 2 hours at the American Hotel. And contrary to what was reported, he wasn't drinking other people's drinks or warned in advance not to drive. He wasn't rude, he wasn't obnoxious, he wasn't belligerent. In fact, he was polite, and he was cooperative, and he was respectful during his entire encounter with law enforcement, as they were to him. His plea today to the reduced and amended non-criminal charge, this traffic violation, is consistent with these facts and full acceptance of responsibility.
Severe floods in Bangladesh continue to displace millions, adding pressure to both refugees and local communities. Discussions at the UN centered around arms supplies to Ukraine and resolving the ongoing conflict